Good afternoon again. Welcome to our monthly Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. We have already said our Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll now call this meeting to order. At this time, if you haven't already, please silence your cell phones. For those of you who are attending our meeting for the very first time, we will address the cases that are on our agenda that are first on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by our board and by the professionals from various departments in the county, and to which there is no known opposition at this time. We have discussed these in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we do not anticipate any further discussion is needed for a decision. So as we go forward, the County Zoning Division Manager, Mr. John Peterson, will read each case into the record. Mr. Peterson will ask that you raise your hand as your case is called to signify that you are present. If you are here in opposition to a case that is currently on consent, Mr. Peterson will ask you to identify yourself as that case is read into record. We will then pull that case off of consent and hear it as part of our regular case agenda. We will then vote on all of the cases still on consent at one time. Once we have approved the cases on consent, we will move forward with our regular case agenda. With that, Mr. Peterson, will you please get us started?
Sure. And before we begin the consent agenda, there are two cases on today's printed agenda which have been held or continued, and these cases will not be heard today. First case is variance case V13 of 2026, Gary Bryant Gilmore. This case has been continued by the staff until the May 13th, 2026 variance hearing. So V13 of 2026 will not be heard today. And next, variance case V36 of 2026, Zachy Merchant. This case was continued by the staff until the August 12th, 2026 variance hearing. So V36 of 2026 will not be heard today. And with that, Madam Chair and Board, I'm ready to start the consent agenda. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for April 15th, 2026. First case on consent is variance case V35. D. Douglas Depew requests a variance to 1, allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed 1,920 square foot garage to be located on a residential property without a principal building. Number 2, allow an accessory structure, which is an existing 3,456 square foot barn to be located on a residential property without a principal building. Number 3, allow an accessory structure, which is an existing 20,000 square foot riding arena to be located on a residential property without a principal building. Number 4, allow an accessory structure, which is an existing 216 square foot metal canopy to be located on a residential property without a principal building. Number 5, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 3,456 square foot barn from required 100 feet to 90 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. Number 6, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 20,000 square foot riding arena from required 100 feet to 8 feet adjacent to the western property line. And number 7, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 216 square foot metal canopy from required 40 feet to 0 feet adjacent to the southern property line in land lot 76 of the 20th district. The property is located on the south side of Cedar Crest Road, west of Dallas Ackworth Highway. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case? And staff does recommend approval, subject to the fire department comments. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V35? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V37, Mi-Yang T. Vu requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage for required 45% to 50.3% in land lot 621 of the 17th district. The property is located on the east side of Ivy Glen Drive, north of Ivy Glen Way. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V37? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V38, Zbigniew Borowski requests a variance to reduce the front setback from required 35 feet to 33 feet in land lot 50 of the 19th district. The property is located on the west side of Gray Coat Bluff, south of Old Dallas Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V38? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V39, Pankaj Sharma requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from required 40% to 42.37% in land lot 13 of the first district. The property is located on the north side of Eastwood Trail, west of Woodlawn Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to Cobb County Stormwater Management comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V39? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V40, Anton requests a variance to, 1, reduce the front setback from required 35 feet to 16 feet, which is an existing condition. And number 2, allow access and maneuvering on a non-hard treated surface, which is grass, for the frame garage in land lot 159 and 160 of the 17th district. The property is located on the northeast corner of Rock and Hill Drive and Long Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V40? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V42, Benjamin Regal requests a variance to reduce the front setback from required 35 feet to 20 feet in land lot 672 of the 16th district. The property is located on the eastern corner of Spear Point Drive and Spear Point Court. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V42? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V43, Frank Santoro requests a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 20 feet to 14 feet in land lot 238 of the 20th district. The property is located on the north side of Sutter's Pond Run, east of Sutter's Pond Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V43? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V44, the Reserve at the Ballpark requests a variance to allow a blade sign to project more than 48 inches from the building surface on which it is attached, and it is 62 inches, in land lots 916 and 917 of the 17th district. The property is located on the north side of Crescent Parkway and on the southwest side of Circle 75 Parkway. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here for V44, the Reserve at the Ballpark? Is there anyone here opposed to this case? Okay, Madam Board and Chair, the applicant is not present. Would be the board's desire just to leave this one on consent?
Since this is in my district, we can continue
Okay.
with it on consent.
All right, thank you. All right, next case is variance case V45. DC Enclosures, Inc. requests a variance to, 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed approximately 725 square foot garage from required 100 feet to 66 feet adjacent to the western property line. And number 2, allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed approximately 725 square foot garage to be to the side of the principal building in land lot 164 of the 20th district. The property is located on the north side of Ellis Road, north of Nottingham Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the revised traffic comments dated April 14th, 2026. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V45? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V46, Leslie D. Carr requests a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing approximately 625 square foot gazebo from required 30 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the eastern property line And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing approximately 100 square foot shed for required 5 feet to 0 feet adjacent to the southern property line in land lot 246 of the 19th district. The property is located on the east side of Winford Gate, south of Winford Commons. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, development inspections comments. And number 2, stormwater management comments and recommendations, with stormwater management to approve the plan in compliance with the maximum impervious surface prior to permitting. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V46? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And last variance on consent is V48. Kyle and Ashley Jackson request a variance to reduce the rear setback from 40 feet to 30 feet in land lot 1032 of the 16th district. The property is located on the north side of Weddington Ridge, north of Weddington Place. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments and recommendations from variance case of V71 of 2025 to remain in effect. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V48? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about any of these cases on consent from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
And second by Commissioner Russell. Call to question, please. Our consent agenda passes 5-0. Thank you. For those of you whose case was on consent, you are free to go at this time. If you would do so expeditiously and quietly, we'll give you a few moments before we start our regular case agenda. Thank you. For those of you who are here for our regular case agenda, we are ready to proceed with that. Our procedure here is that Mr. Peterson will read each case into record. The applicant and/or representative of the applicant who wishes to speak will be asked to come forward to be sworn in. Likewise, anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be asked to come forward to be sworn in as well. Just one moment. There we go. The applicant and the opposition will each have a total of 10 minutes to present their case, regardless of the number of individuals speaking for either side. All testimony must be given from the podium to my right, where full AV capabilities are available. Please be sure to speak into the mic so that we can clearly hear you. Following the presentations, members of the board may ask questions directed at either party. Please note that once comments from all parties have concluded and the public hearing has been formally closed, no further comments will be permitted unless specifically requested by a member of the board. If you are called upon, you will be asked to return to the podium. With that, Mr. Peterson, will you please prepare us for our first case?
Sure. First case we're going to hear on the regular agenda is variance case V41. Albert Gardner requests a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 30 feet to 12 feet in land lot 335 of the 16th district. The property is located on the west side of Edinburgh Place, east of Edinburgh Court. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V41? So we got 2. Okay, let the record show there's 2 people here opposed. All those who would like to address the board either for or against, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good afternoon. We'll start with the applicant. If the applicant will go ahead and come forward, please. As you come forward, if you will state your name for the record, and you have 10 minutes to share with us whatever you would like.
Shay Mitten.
On the mic, if you would.
Thank you. Thank you for your guys' time today. My name is Shay Mitten. I'm a contractor. Name of my company is Shea Bliss Renovations. My client, Mr. and Mrs. Gardner, is wishing to put a screen porch over their existing deck within that existing footprint. The neighbor behind is, I believe, the one who's objecting. Through this process, the reason we were directed by the building department to request a variance is because there just wasn't quite enough setback from the lot line to what would be the edge of the deck, the existing deck, with the covered screen porch on there. Upon further investigation, after having a survey done by Gaskins, the building department helped me out greatly and demonstrated that the building setback line and where the house occupies is actually originally set back a little too far when it was originally built. Now, the house is by approximately 7 feet, thereby skewing the original setback to building setback, the lot line to the building setback line, excuse me. This is demonstrated on the Gaskin survey. I took the liberty of also getting an original plat of the neighborhood before it was built. Oh, okay. Oh, you can, fantastic. Thank you, sir. Showing that this was such the case before the structure was built. So it's consistent from the beginning. Thank you. And I also have some supporting documents along, like, should the board like to review that. Is there an area where my time is available for me to demonstrate this?
You have
Oh,
7
right there.
minutes.
I see it. It was covered
Over
by my
7 minutes.
paperwork. Thank you. I'd like to briefly touch on each one of the areas that is being objected to. Number one, it says there was no demonstration of hardship. I wasn't aware that we needed to come up and display an existing hardship in order to ask for the variance, but in particular to that, paragraph number 3, it says the applicant material suggests a desire to increase usable space or accommodate a preferred design. We are not trying to encroach between the back of the existing residence deck and go closer to the back of their deck. That space in between, which is a very comfortable space and a large mature tree in between, we're not going to encroach on that at all. We actually just want to stay within the existing footprint of the deck itself and build a screen porch on top of that. It further goes on to say that no evidence has been presented demonstrating any physical constraints unique to the property, but I believe I have. It also mentions that paragraph 2, the subject property appears consistent in size, shape, and topography with surrounding parcels which are able to comply with current setback requirements. I don't know how they would know that. I believe that would be an assumption. Then moving on to number 2 is a substantial departure from required setbacks. It says the request seeks to reduce the rear setback from 30 feet to 12 feet, which would be a 60% reduction if that was actually the case. But with what I've presented from what has been permitted and a certificate of occupancy when the house was originally built, it should have been moved up 7 feet to comply within the original setback, not the lot line, but the setback. And I have that available up there. So with that being the case, if we were to add that in, we would only be asking for an 11-foot reduction. Certainly within reason. In that same objection line, number 2, it says that a given limited depth of the applicant's rear yard, this encroachment may result in a diminishing privacy and increases visual impact on adjacent properties. Building a screen porch within the existing footprint, again, of the deck, I would believe to say that that would provide more privacy. So we're not, again, we're not encroaching any further towards their yard, and I feel that's important to demonstrate. To further that, when the house was originally built, and it was built set back a little bit too far from the original, not the lot line, but the approach line. The deck was always there. Later on, the deck was rebuilt and improved, and permit was pulled on that. And it complied with everything then and received a certificate of completion. So this kind of just further emphasizes that everything has been grandfathered in. So, and we're not looking to alter that. We're just looking to build on the existing footprint. Number 3 is a failure to demonstrate minimal necessary relief. It says no evidence has been presented to show that a smaller structure, an alternative layout, or code-compliant design is not feasible. I don't see how that would be applicable in this particular case. We have presented a design and has been satisfied by the building department in order to allow us to proceed moving here today. Number 3, the second sentence says to the extent the requested variance is necessitated by the applicant's preferred design or placement of structure, such hardship is self-created and does not justify relief. Again, this is not self-created, and the placement was within the existing footprint of the deck, which has always been approved twice. And again, it's just not applicable. Number 4, the incomplete application prevents proper review of I've actually complied with everything that the building department has requested of me, and that's why I've been able to come here and speak in front of you today. And the process as far as following the permit and all that obviously doesn't exist until after approval from y'all. So, and then number 5, inconsistency with established development patterns. I'm not going to read into all the details of it there, but there are several, including just down in between the two. So my client's house and the neighbor's house, down in between through there, just standing there on their deck, you can look down and see 2 screen porches. So it is very consistent. There's multiple other ones in that neighborhood. So it is in fact consistent with what people are doing in the neighborhood as far as putting screen porches on their house. With that, I do have some pictures that can show you, if you would like to see, use my remaining 2 minutes to show you this. This is what we're working with. Excuse me. This is what we're working with as far as the back of my client's home. And I believe this is the most relevant picture to really demonstrate of these 2. This one shows the space from my client's deck looking down between the other houses, and there on your right, the pinkish looking one, that's one of the screen porches. And down to the far left, the White House, that's another screen porch. Again, consistent with the neighborhood development, so to speak. And then lastly, this is a good picture that shows from standing behind my client's deck, which is white, and the rear of their neighbors with the mature tree in between. And again, we would not be encroaching on that space whatsoever, only building on the existing footprint of the deck. My client, Mr. Gardner, he has another piece of information that he feels would be relevant. And since he's the one who kind of did his homework on that and everything, I believe he might like the opportunity to present that to you as well.
He has 20 seconds if he
Oh,
wants to come
I
up.
took up his time as well. Okay, for the representation, I'm sorry. I apologize. Thank you for your time.
He still has 20 seconds if he wants to come up really quickly.
He would. Thank you. Appreciate the
Absolutely.
board's lenience. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
If you will introduce yourself, and then we'll start your time.
Hi, I'm Al Gardner. I'm the homeowner. Thank you. I guess my only comment is I'm not sure where the 30-foot setback comes into play because everybody seems to agree to it. I guess that's the case. But when I look at the code, 134-202, there's a picture in there, a diagram that shows what the setbacks are.
And that
this-
is your time. But if my fellow board members are agreeable to give you 2 more minutes, and then we'll also extend that 2 minutes to the opposition.
Okay.
Go
And
ahead.
so that chart shows that the setback is actually either 20% or 40 feet. I assume the 20% refers to the depth of the lot, and the lot's 87 feet, and 20% of that is 17. So we'd still be looking for a variance, but I feel like we'd be looking for a variance of a few feet, if anything. So
Is that all that you would like to present to us today?
that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I believe we have opposition. And so we will extend that same 12 minutes to you, even though our applicant didn't take that complete 12 minutes. So if you will state your name for the record and begin whenever you get ready.
Madam Chairwoman, members of the board, my name is Richard Grome. I am here on behalf of the East Cobb Civic Association. I am presenting for the ECCA case manager, Ben Alper, who had a schedule conflict today. The applicant is requesting a reduction in rear setback from 30 feet to 12 feet in order to construct a partially covered deck. Hardship requirements. ECCA has no information indicating any hardship related to the shape or topography of the property that will warrant granting this variance. As you know, hardship must be demonstrated. Nothing in the application materials suggests such a condition exists. Now, we have heard that the house was set back too far. Okay, that's not our fault. They bought that house as is, and it sits on the lot as is. HOA review status. ECCA also received new information provided by Commissioner Summerall indicating that the applicant has been in contact with the Highland Park HOA Board. However, on April 6th, email from the HOA Board to the applicant states that the submission does not contain sufficient detail for the HOA Board to process the application. The HOA further states that once complete information is provided, they will be able to evaluate the request. The email also notes that the HOA was informed a variance application may have been submitted to the Cobb County and asked the applicant to kindly provide a copy of the approved variance or any other documentation from Cobb County for their records and for the review. At this time, the HOA has not approved the proposed deck because the applicant has not supplied the required details. Number 3, consent of contiguous property owners. The application includes a consent of contiguous occupants or landowners form. The 2 properties on either side of the applicant have signed. However, there is no signature from 3592 Edinburgh Court, the contiguous property to the rear, which is the parcel most directly affected by a reduction of the rear setback from 30 feet to 12 feet. Summary and recommendation, the ECCA recommends denial of this variance request because no hardship related to the shape or topography of the property has been demonstrated, and Highland Park HOA has not approved the proposed deck due to insufficient information from the applicant. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. I believe that there was someone else here in opposition, so there is still time if you would like to come up. And if you will introduce yourself also for us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Specific to the information that I am providing to you, is really going to be about the attachments. The long document is just a detailed version of what I'm about to say. Okay, my name is Jacqueline Curvin. I reside at 3592 Edinburgh Court, Marietta, Georgia. And I appreciate your time today. Again, as I've said, I respectfully oppose this variance request. First, for these reasons. First, the board does not have, as has been said, sufficient information to properly evaluate this request. We also requested detailed dimensioned site plans, but were only provided, as you can see from the attachments, conceptual images, and without scaled plans, neither the board nor neighboring property owners can fully assess the impact made by the findings required under Cobb County Code. Second, the applicant has not demonstrated a unique hardship as required under Cobb County Section 13494. The property appears consistent in size, shape, and topography with others in the neighborhood that are complying with the current setback requirements. If the applicant has now found that there's some differences, as has been stated, that's not something that we can cover here, or should, because it was an as-is purchase. There is no evidence of any physical constraints unique to this property, as you can see from my attachments, that appear to be this appears instead to be a matter of personal design preference, which does not meet the legal standard for hardship. Third, this requested variance is a substantial and inconsistent with the intent of the zoning ordinance. The applicant is seeking to reduce the rear setback from 30 feet to 12 feet. That's a significant reduction. Setbacks exist to preserve spacing, privacy, and neighborhood character, as you know. This level of encroachment would disrupt the established development pattern and reduce the separation between homes. If the applicant, as has been said by the contractor, is able to build within the existing current footprint of the deck, then this appeal would not be needed, is what I'm wondering. Finally, the applicant has not demonstrated that this is the minimum relief necessary. There has been no showing that a smaller structure or an alternative code-compliant design is not feasible. If the hardship is created by the applicant's preferred design, it does not justify a variance. In conclusion, I just want to make these 3 points again. We believe that there is no unique hardship that has been demonstrated here. 2, the request is not the minimum necessary relief. And 3, the board lacks sufficient documentation, as did we, to make required findings. And so for these reasons, as you can see from the attachments I've given you, we are respectfully asking the board to deny this request. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I believe we've heard from both applicants and from opposition. This does reside in District 3, so I'll turn it over to Commissioner Summer Hour to handle the discussion.
Yes, if I can have the representative from 41 come back up, the applicant, either one or both, I guess. Hi, I just have a few questions. So the deck is existing right now today.
Yes.
What is changing?
We just want to put a roof and screened walls.
That's the extent.
That's it.
Nothing
On top of
more.
the existing deck.
You're not expanding.
Not expanding at all.
It's there right
The
now.
intent is to match the siding to the current house, paint color, roof shingles, all matching.
Okay. Do any of my fellow board members have questions? Okay.
If it was important to your neighbor that you do so, would you be willing to do any plantings along the rear boundary of your property?
Sure, I guess so. I mean, on my property?
Yes.
Sure, if they wanted that.
Okay.
I know my time to speak, but I did want to rebut one item. Is that possible?
Let's just keep it to the questions.
Okay.
Okay. So then how long has the deck been there?
At least 10 years,
How long have you lived there?
since it was built. It's 97, I believe we moved in.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question with regards to possibly landscaping the back of your property. Are there, do you have a fence that goes around, because I can't tell because it's got the yellow line. Do you
the
have a fence
fence-
that goes around your
No,
property?
that's my neighbor's fence that you see there
That's the neighbor's fence?
to the side, yes.
But to the back? So if I'm looking at this, you have V41, you have RA6, you see the map, do you see the map?
Yes.
So is it the fence of the neighbor in that RA6 zone? Is that their fence?
Yeah,
Their
yes.
fence?
Their fence is on the bottom edge of that property line. So my house is obviously the one that's labeled V41.
Great.
Directly to the left is Ms. Curvin's house. The one down below it is my neighbor that did not object, and he has the fence.
So what I was wondering is, I don't know when this map was actually taken that we can view it. If you could put some sort of landscaping along the back to help kind of buffer between these two homes, is that common in your neighborhood? Do you have plantings of tree buffers along backs of property?
No, there is actually a tree there now, a large tree.
Right, I saw that.
That's on her property, that's between us. To my knowledge, I believe, if you look at Edinburgh Court to the left there and Edinburgh Drive over on the right, that area in between those row of houses, at least on our side of the neighborhood, seems to be the only place where houses back to each other. All the other houses either face Gordy Parkway or some park property or something like that. So, no, there isn't much vegetation down there. But like I said, there is a tree between us.
So on the back of this property, is your fence, it would be, do you think that that by putting some plantings there, that they could be softening like a buffer of your existing deck?
I mean, you'd have to put a pretty large tree there because the deck is off the ground. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but do you have the picture?
Would you like to see the picture?
It's pretty high off the
Well,
ground.
I saw the picture of that, and
Yeah.
I understand that. I was just trying to look at ways, because you definitely have a hardship in that the way that the subdivision was built, and that they went and used more of a setback to the front of the property, creating the hardship of having a smaller setback to the back. you also have a deck there that is existing, and you're just putting this exactly on top. Just thinking of a way in which maybe the commissioner could come up with or meet with a county arborist possibly to talk about a way just to soften that back of the property. That's just my question.
Right, I'm fully open to that. I'm just not sure, you'd have to have an arborist tell me what that looks and feels like. And there's also, there may be drainage problems, because that's a high drain area, if you will, that goes down to the creek that's back behind. I don't know if you remember the picture of the other screen porches, but back behind there is like a creek and a reserved area.
Okay, I guess it would be up to the district commissioner that we could deal with that through stormwater and an arborist, but that'll be her decision, so I pass that over. Just questions.
Any
Thank you.
Further questions? No? All right, I believe, do what? Oh, okay. You want to hear from the opposition? Okay. Thank you. We'll hear from the opposition now. We have a couple of questions.
Okay, could I rebut that one point, though? No? Okay. No rebuttal.
Madam Chair, may I clarify to the homeowner?
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr., typically, only things that can be discussed are questions that are originated from members. So if there's a specific question, then you certainly have the opportunity to answer it, but you don't have opportunities necessary to rebut or to ask questions of the board, and that's the per the rules. So that's why they were saying no to that.
Thank you for that clarification. If the opposition will come forward, please.
So you're Mrs. Curvin, is that correct?
I am.
Okay, thank you. And do you live where it says RA6? Is that your house?
Is that the one adjacent from the?
It's
property?
adjacent to the back property
That is
line.
it, correct.
That's the one? Okay. So how many years have you lived there?
27,
27 years? So this has been your backyard neighbor for a very long time.
very long time.
Have there been any issues regarding light, noise, anything that you consider to be problematic?
No,
Or-
no. The properties, though, are, as you can, well, this doesn't depict it well. These would, if you want to provide it. The properties are very close already. And so therefore, obviously, because of the close proximity of these homes, it is impossible not to hear when people are on a deck. You may not be able to hear exactly what they're saying, but you can hear. So obviously, to go from 30 to 12 is going to exacerbate that problem.
So what do you think could be done to mitigate that problem in a reasonable manner which does not adversely impact or unduly impact the view? What do you think we could do?
To be honest, it is what it is. And we can't determine how it can be rectified because as he said, and as you can see, the house is not on it. I mean, the deck is not on the ground, it's on the ground floor. It's on the second floor. So therefore, we just have to stand with what the variance says. And I didn't really understand variance before, but I do now. And I understand the reason now why there is such a thing as a setback. Because otherwise, there would be no privacy or character in the neighborhood. And as you can see from this other picture, if you will provide this one real quickly, the sloping of the neighborhood already presents a problem.
Two questions for you. First question, do you have a deck at your home? Is it on the second floor as
That's
well?
Exactly.
Okay. And you indicated noise coming from the open deck, correct? So a closed deck might mitigate a little bit of that noise, correct?
Right. The challenge with the plan that they are presenting is that they are now saying that it's going to be within the existing footprint, meaning they're just going to put in a screened porch. but yet they're saying they want they want a 18-foot reduction.
So what I think I heard also, just to clarify, was that their existing setback was already over based on what was grandfathered in. So it doesn't sound as if, and we can get clarification on that, that number is exactly what that number looks like, because they're technically already over. So it might be that the numbers are less because it's grandfathered in, if that makes sense. So it's not as much of the setback as you are anticipating. And I think what they are indicating is that they're going to use the same footprint, so you would not see any additional space than what you're currently seeing. It's just that it would be enclosed. If they were to provide a vegetation buffer that would mitigate a little bit of some of that, make it a little bit softer for you, would that be something that you would be okay with, since you are the direct neighbor too?
The concern, Commissioner Macy, is that you're asking me to make a decision from something I don't see. I have never been given any detailed plans or understanding of what this structure is that is being built.
Okay.
And therefore, I cannot determine, nor I believe can the board, what it is they're planning to do. And that is very difficult to me as the person that is right adjacent from them, because as you can see from the photo that I gave you earlier, there's very little backyard that they have in the first place.
Understood.
And so that's a concern for me. For the same reasons we couldn't sign is the same reasons that we have the concern. We don't know what they're doing.
So, ma'am, I think that there's a misunderstanding in what we're talking about in setbacks, and I think it hasn't been represented well to you, is that when you come in for a variance for one specific item, it opens up to other issues, such as setbacks. This setback has been established since the very beginning when your houses were built. I'm sure that you probably have a setback issue as well. So when the deck was built, it was already into this existing setback. So that is just a cleanup variance, because we're not asking you need to remove your house and move it forward. All they're saying is we're going to clean up this existing setback issue. So this has really no relevance to the deck that is already built, because that has been in the setback, and it was built, and it was, I believe that they got a permit to build it. And so now all they're doing is they're taking that same existing deck, they're not going to take it down, and they're putting a screened-in porch. You could do the same thing, you could put a screened-in porch. So what we're looking at is, the only reason we're even looking at this is because we're trying to clean up a variance that was created by the builder, by allowing these homes to be built into the back setback. So that's what basically the whole thing is with regards to the existing setback that was not created by you, it was not created by this owner, it was created by the builder, and it was approved. And that was way back into, I don't know how far, I don't know when these houses were built. So that's what we're looking at right now, is we're just cleaning up a setback issue, and he's putting this screened-in porch on top of the very existing deck. He's not taking it down, he's not moving it closer to you. You will see nothing really different, except it'll be a screened-in porch rather than an open porch. So that's my comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to make a motion to approve this variance, and being it a second-level story deck, I don't see that tree of Leland, cypress, or whatever would really make much of an impact. So I'm fine with just approving the variance as is.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second by Commissioner Swanson. Call to question. And there we go, and it passes 5-0. Next case, Mr. Peterson.
Okay, next case is variance case V47. Diamond Henderson requests a variance to allow a temporary or permanent sign to cover more than 50% of a window glass surface of each pane of glass in land lots 277, 278, 299, and 300 of the 16th district. The property is located on the east side of Canton Road, east of Kensington Drive. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V47? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Good afternoon. If you will come and introduce yourself and begin your presentation.
Good afternoon, Diamond Henderson. Last year, we opened up a sports restaurant. We also have a sports complex behind it, where we have basketball games, softball, baseball, Little League baseball games. So our restaurant is more of like, I want to say like an Applebee's. Usually parents and their kids come over to eat, then go back to their next game. The problem we were having, I've been living in this area for about 20 years. I don't know if anybody else is super familiar with Canton Road, but there's been probably minimum 50 rotating restaurants in the area in the last, I'd say, 15 years. And we just trying to do everything to not be another casualty on Canton Road. Our division is kind of in a bowl, so if you're driving down the street, you really can't see the restaurant. There's no way to kind of see it unless you come into the area. And even then, we had a lot of issues with people coming in thinking that we were like a sports authority or something that pretty much that just sells equipment for the complex in the back. So we put sports restaurant on our side windows so people that are walking by, or if you do happen to glance over, you can kind of see that we're a sports restaurant, just trying to gain awareness to us being a restaurant and not just some random building. Also, unfortunately, due to the owner of the actual property, the lights and signs, they don't really work properly. So even at once the sun goes down, it's pretty much impossible to even know that there's a business over there. During the day, it's not as bad, but hence why we needed some type of signage on the windows. We did take out the signage of the front two doors so that you can easily see inside, but we would like to keep the signage on the side up that says sports restaurant.
Does that conclude your testimony?
Yes, it does.
You still have time. If you would like to share anything else, you still have time.
I would just say, since we did add the signs, we've had way more customers, people walking by. It's really family-oriented area, so there's there's a daycare right across the street. There's another daycare across a little bit down the road. So people are always on their strollers walking their kids, and now that they can see an actual sign that says it's a sports restaurant, our business has picked up, so it's been very beneficial for us. But yeah, that's all I got. We would just like to keep the signage on the side of the building. Thank you.
Wonderful. Since there's no opposition, we'll ask that you hang tight, and we'll turn it over to Commissioner Summer Hour for discussion.
The over 50% is a lot.
Okay.
So what does our current code allow?
50% is the max.
Is the max. And do we know how much she is over that?
I believe it's almost 100%,
100%, okay,
except for the front doors, which she just mentioned.
okay. I think the signage is just way too far over what's allowed. So I would have to, well, I'll ask for any comments before I make my motion. Any comments?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, and thank you to the folks that pulled this visual up for us. Perhaps if they got rid of the stuff on the right, and maybe kept the word restaurant, and then you could maybe give some thought to keeping the word sports. They could keep some of that up, but if they just had the word restaurant, people would know what's there and know it's a restaurant. Then maybe notice above it, it says Coach's Corner, and make the link to sports restaurant. But I think there are ways to allow them to keep part of this without, and still keeping the spirit of the code.
I too would echo that sentiment. I would be open to removing the screens to the right and keeping restaurant at the bottom. And I think the player in the middle, the emblems, all of the other things will allude to the sport, so you get the same effect.
Is there a possibility that you work with a company that you had a company that did this design for you, is that correct?
Yes.
So I would just like to propose to the commissioner that you work with that company, and because they should also know our code, so they would never put you in a position like this, but work with them and have them reduce this to 50%, then you wouldn't even need to come in, but reduce it to 50% and put your message in that you think you need in order to have more people visually see that this restaurant exists.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation, is to do that and then come back next month to show what it is that you've reduced.
Yeah, and the county can certainly, provide, if there's questions for your vendor, the county can provide additional information, but I think if you just come back with a new design, and from my marketing background, say I would be putting the sports in the restaurant at the top of your windows, because if you're in a dip area, it'll be more visible, but I can't, that's my thought. I can't help myself. So, but the county's here to help too, to clarify our codes.
Okay, thank you.
So John, if she's able to get it down to 50%, does she need to come back?
No, if she gets to 50%, she would meet the code and would not need a variance from this board.
Okay. So.
Just for clarification, so you're saying like where it says over 23 TVs, if we take that down in the middle area, also, we could keep the sports restaurant? Am I understanding that correctly?
I think the word sports restaurant can stay. The TV, comedy, drinks,
Right.
that side needs to go.
Okay,
And then the people in the middle.
the middle, yeah.
I like the middle.
But I have to go for another variance.
I'm a sports mom.
I really think that the company could work with you, incorporating smaller people in the middle, maybe smaller sports restaurant. I mean, I really think you could come up with something that would attract it with under 50%.
So what would,
And I think I know where the board's going. Can I make a suggestion for a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I would suggest the board approve this, and let's divide this into 3 sections, because that's what we're seeing here on the screen, 3 panels. So approve it with the left-hand side, it says sports restaurant can stay as is. The middle section and the right section have to meet the code for 50% of the glass. I think there's enough room on the last section where it has all the words to meet the code and kind of get most of it in there. And then the middle one with the player, I think they can cut that down a little bit to meet the code. So my recommendation would be to approve it for the part that says sports restaurant, and then the other 2 panels, the middle panel with the players and the panel with the over 23 TVs and everything else, meet the code for 50% or less.
Mr. Peterson, can I have a clarification on this, because we get a lot of these? When you say that you can't cover 50%, well, these are overlaying these big panels. So is it just the words that we're looking at? Because they've covered the entire windows across the whole thing. Is it just the words that we're looking at to meet the code of less than 50%, or is it we talked about the panels?
it's the panels, or as the code says, each pane of glass. So I worded it in a way that would allow her to keep a sports restaurant, and then the other two panels would have to meet the code, which I think they could meet it with some revision to the panels.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I will use that as my motion.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second by Commissioner Swanson.
And probably add in there to have the zoning manager approve the final signage plan, so I can make sure it's right.
All right, if you'll amend that motion for me, Commissioner Samara.
Yes, amended.
Okay, and an amended second? Still second?
Oh, yes, still second.
All right, call to question. And that passes 5-0. Do you have that? Do you have that recorded? Okay, and it passes 5-0. All right, well, that concludes our regular case agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we have some housekeeping items. We have minutes from previous meetings. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Russell. Call to question. And can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
And is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Swanson. Call to question. And we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.